Welcome to Across the Park podcast, the only place you can hear banter and debate from both sides of Stanley Park, whether it be blue or red. Sponsored by Their Clothing, Camper Kings UK, and affiliation with BetMate. Hello, welcome to Across the Park Extra. We're talking all things Liverpool Football Club tonight. Myself alongside resident Red Terry. Delighted to be joined by one of the best loved boxers from the city, a man who's won gold at the Commonwealth Games, somebody who's been instrumental in the boom period in the city for the boxing in the last 10 years, and also a massive Red. The big fella, Mr. David Price. Pricey, thanks for joining us on Across the Park. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, it's a strange world at the minute, isn't it?
It is, mate, it is. But thanks for having me anyway. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I mean, we're a football podcast, and let's go straight into football. Obviously, you don't hide the fact you're a massive Red. Growing up as a Red, first memories, players, games, what comes to your mind straight away?
I lived right opposite Anfield, right opposite the Kop. So my first memories of the match in Liverpool was collecting like panini stickers, things like that. And then as I got a bit, I'm talking like about 7 as I got a bit older, minding cars outside the ground for people going to the match, and you get like, 50 pence off them for minding the car after the game had finished. And then we started going over when they let out for the last quarter, the bottom of the Kop. They'd open the gates for people to leave. We'd run up and stand at the back and watch, try and see over people and watch and whatnot. But my first Liverpool game that I actually went to was an FA Cup tie against Brighton in 1991 it was, and I went with my dad's mate. So that's my first memory of going to the match. And as far as players and anything else concerned, you're probably talking like, your John Barnes was the standout player of that time. Peter Beardsley obviously went to Everton. What a player he was. Ian Rush. The usual suspects, really. But just vague memories from that. It was a long time ago now, really. That was like 30 years ago. So after that, you're talking like, when I can really remember when I really got into the footy. You're talking the Fowler, McManaman era. Collymore was there, McAteer, Spice Boys.
Yeah, I was going to say Spice Boys, yeah.
The Spice Boys, and they had a lot of style. Some of them didn't have much substance. You had the likes of Phil Babbs and people like that in the team who they were kind of like, I don't know, something not enough to.
They weren't Liverpool players, were they?
Yeah. No, they weren't enough to do what we needed to do, and it was a frustrating time. That. So anyway, I've gone off a little bit there, but yeah, that's me. They're my early memories of supporting Liverpool. Like,
were you one of those fans, Price, who went to away games and that, or?
Yeah, well, when I got to about 14, I think, and we started wanting to go to the away games, me and my mates, and it was like asking our mums and dads, can we go, and they agreed to. Being a parent now, it must have been nerve-wracking for them, And the first game we went to was Aston Villa away, and it was 1997-98 season, and Collymore had just signed for Villa, and I think he scored 2.
Yeah, I think he scored. Yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah, or 1 or 2 anyway, and we went on a Barnes as coach, got to Stanley Park at like, must have been got there about 9 o'clock in the morning. We weren't leaving until 11:15, and we was drinking all types of super strength ale in the park, just doing what kids do. And as soon as we got on the coach, we were singing songs and all that at the back, and all the fellas our age or even younger, like in the 20s, must have been like, what are these up to? But we've all been there. Yeah. And then once we started going the away games, we got the bug. Then me and my mates, it was like a massive adventure going to the away games, especially the London games when you get the train. And we had like a family rail card at the time, where if one adult paid full price 4 kids could go on for £2 each, and we just split the 5, you know, whatever it cost for the 5 between us, and you know, I had a few tales to tell with you know, ticket inspectors and things like that. And went to West Ham once on that premise where we had an adult ticket, but you needed the adult with you to make it valid. And I can't remember who had our adult ticket, but we lost them after the game. And coming home, there was a guard on the thing stopping people, you know, wanting to see your tickets. And I tried to just get through with a £2 rail card, and he just went, you've got no chance. So I went, walked back, missed the train, stuck on my own in Euston. So the next train leaving out of Euston was a Manchester train. So I thought, I'll get to Manchester and get home somehow. I'll just get on it. There mightn't be a guard, and it was Saturday night. And sat there, and the ticket inspector starts walking through, and I went, oh no, and he was doing an egg count. So I just got up and went in the toilet. Thought I lied in the toilet. And bear in mind, I must have been about 15, no less, I was probably 16 at this stage, but I was about the same height as I am now, not much shorter. So yeah, it was easily spotted. And I heard a knock on the door, and the ticket inspector just looked at him like that, and he went, have you got a ticket? And I went, no. And he went, well, you're going to get fined, whatever it was. So I was like, okay, I've lost my mates, blah, blah. So he went, can I phone someone to confirm who you actually are? I went, because he was going to post the fine to me. So I said, yeah, phone me mum. So we got like this big phone out, the mobile out, like a big Motorola type. phone the house. And my mum must have shit herself getting a phone call off like a train inspector. She must have thought it stuck my head out the window and fucking come off or something. So he just said, is there anything distinctive about him that, you know, can tell me that you know him? And she was like, yeah, he's like 6'7". And he was like, okay, and that was it. And it was an ordeal. I got home after match of the day had ended. That's how long the day it was for me. And thankfully the inspector must have just give me a walk over. He didn't post the fine, and it didn't arrive at the house. So that was one of the tales from the ways. But we loved them, and couldn't get enough of them when we were kids. Nearly couldn't.
What about the European games? Did you ever go away? We're talking possibly moving up to 2005 now, Istanbul. Every red team has a story from that game. And Terry up there, he went to Istanbul. He's got his own story. Did you go to that one?
I did, yeah. I did. I went to a couple of, like, you know, Barcelona's big games like that, where I remember going in 2001 to Barcelona, and the thought then was like, you know, we might never get the chance to go here again. You know, all little we knew, obviously, what's happened since, but went there, and then we went to a few different little away games and around Europe. But the Istanbul, yeah, we went to Istanbul. I went there with my mates, and it's just been the anniversary recently, and it brings all the memories back of what a great time it was over there, and yeah, just amazing, Still like surreal even thinking about what happened, but again, great. The match was just part of the story. There's all obviously all different things going on. I'll tell you another story about Istanbul now as well, because I went over there and I was due to fight in an amateur tournament in Italy a few weeks later. So I took me run trainees over with me, because we were there for 3 days. We were coming home the day after the match, so we missed the parade. 2 days after the match we were coming home, so we had a day there the day later. Did you miss the parade as well?
We missed the parade, yeah.
Yeah, it was gutted, but we stayed there. So I said, I'll go out for a run. Got my trainees on and went for a run, and I just kept running, and I ended up and it was like a bit of a ghetto in Istanbul, and there's no way they'd ever seen a 6'8", red-haired Scouser running through their neighbourhood, that's for sure. And I was getting some real funny looks. But when you're young, you don't really take. You kind of just go with the flow. I don't think I'd do that now. I'd probably have a look where I could go safe, find a park. I'd just ran. And I'd run through the streets, and there's a police car at the bottom of the street, and 2 coppers standing there. And he just went, whoa, 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 no, come here. Grabbed me and just went, get in the car. Drove me out of the area and dropped me off on a main road and just said, don't go back down there again. So God knows what was going on down there or what could have happened to me. But I always like to tell that little tale from Istanbul.
Easy.
Yeah, it was a crazy one in Istanbul, wasn't it? Because it sounds like you're the same to us. We were in like some proper snide hotel down some back street, but then when you went the game, we were on our coach for about 2 hours, and you just ended up in this ground that was just like landed on the moon or something. It was just in the middle of nowhere, wasn't it? Just like
crazy,
just waste ground.
Yeah, it's crazy. And we were in a similar type of location as far as the hotel is concerned. And we got a bus in the afternoon, and it was a long journey, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
I can't remember the journey back from the ground. I can remember the journey going, and I can remember just coming back to Taksim Square after it, and queuing up in a McDonald's for something to eat, and just being exhausted. It was an exhausting day because it was a long day, and the extra time and the emotions of it all and everything else. It was emotional. It was great, though.
Yeah, it was, and it's funny that you say that because, like, when you get asked a question, when you say you were there, and people go, "Wow, what was it like afterwards?" You must have been celebrating like mad, and I always say the same as you. It was like you got on that coach, everyone was wiped out. It was literally wiped out. The adrenaline dump, I think, and then the journey back into the city centre. It was just, it absolutely was wrecked. Yeah, yeah. But no, boss times. Did you get to any of the Cardiff finals, David?
I went the Birmingham one, and then I went the Owen Cup final one. And that always stands out to me. The Arsenal one.
Yeah, same.
It was fucking unbelievable. And Liverpool don't do things by halves in cup finals until the last one in Madrid. And it was in Madrid, I remember saying, I just hope Liverpool aren't typical Liverpool. As long as we win, but they have your nerves gone, don't they?
Yeah.
It's comebacks, scoring last-minute equalisers, and this was no different. I call it the Owen one because of the Michael Owen.
The 2 goals in 10
I know he's not as... No people aren't as fond of him as it could have been, but... When he was on, mate, when he was hot, he was fucking hot, wasn't he? So, that was like, up to that point, that was and still now, one of the most euphoric matches I've been to for emotions of ups and downs, and it all happened in that short space of time. It was like explosive. It was great. So Cardiff was good to Liverpool, really. And it was about that time, though. It was the end of the 2001 season. I kind of stopped enjoying going to match for whatever reason. I just hit a point where I'd grown a little bit tired of it, and I might have just got to an age I'd not long met my beard, and my boxing was starting to become a little bit more serious, and I was focusing my energy more on that. Because if I remember sitting that season, we won the treble. I remember I had a season ticket in the Upper Anfield Road, and I remember sitting there a lot of the time. And Uli got results that year, but the football weren't very attractive. And I remember sitting there a bit bored, and then after that, for a couple of years, I just stopped. And so you like see your Chelsea finals at Cardiff, couple ones. I didn't go to them. West Ham. My daughter had just been born the Wednesday before, so I didn't go to that one either. But yeah, Cardiff was good to Liverpool.
Yeah, some of my best memories there, certainly.
You're saying there, David, that your boxing career has just started in the 2000s, sort of become a bit more important to you. You say you're going for runs after European Cup finals and things. Just to move on to that, your 2006 Commonwealth Games, the boxing team in Melbourne, gold medal, and then 2008, the Olympic Games, a bronze medal. How do you get into those sort of things? The Olympics, do you put yourself into that, or have you got a boxing coach who does it? What's the process behind the Olympics and the Commonwealth?
Olympics, the Commonwealths for both initially you have to be selected to as a an elite boxer for this country. So you have to win area titles, and then you have to win national titles, and then you've got to prove yourself on the international stage. It's a really difficult process to become an Olympian as a boxer, and that's why one of my proudest achievements is just become an Olympian. Not even the medal, just the Olympian thing, especially with boxing. Because for years previously, before we all went to Beijing, we only qualified 1-2 boxers at a time, because the qualifying process is that difficult. So first and foremost, you're likely going to have to win an ABA title. Then you start getting selected to go on national centralised training camps with the best trainers in the country. And then you get selected to go and represent England in loads of different tournaments all over the world. And you're talking in like shit old places, staying in dumps of a hotel. And it's really, really character building, and it builds mental toughness. And people don't see this in the amateur game. They just see it at the Olympics, where it's all colourful and on BBC and everything's bright and shiny, and they don't see the 95%. Then that's just the tip of the iceberg. The journey to it's proper, really, really difficult, really, and that's why, like I said, becoming an Olympian was a massive achievement for me, because I'd tried in Athens as well, didn't quite get there, and then the Commonwealth Games were 2006, and to go to the Commonwealth, your country can just select you to go to the Commonwealths, which is what happened with the Olympics. The Olympic Committee can only give so many spaces in the Olympics for athletes, and boxing gets allocated a certain amount. So then boxing's governing body in the amateurs, AIBA at the time, they allocate the positions for the fighters, and you've got to go and earn them at tournaments. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to go and actually qualify for the Olympics, and them qualifying tournaments were like notoriously difficult and very political, really political. The amount of people who could and should have been Olympians in boxing, even like Stephen Smith from this city, he was an Olympian that just didn't get the tracksuit because he qualified in one of the tournaments but just got fucking absolutely ripped off by one of the judges. Now if you look at Eastern Europe as a whole, especially now, maybe not in the future, but a lot of the, I say not in the future because the people who are involved in doing it are getting old now and probably got to retire soon, but Belarus, Lithuania, all these Eastern Bloc countries, they were once part of one union, weren't they?
Yeah.
And they all still know each other. They all still look after each other. So if you've got a Belarusian judge and you're out and maybe a Belarusian or a Ukrainian, three of the judges are like fighting. So it can be very political, but I won three ABA titles. I was captain of the Olympic team, wasn't I? So I was one of the most experienced and most decorated as well, and I had a great amateur career, really good amateur career.
Now you're sorry to tell you, now you're a pro and you've got you get your fights and you've got camps for fights and your preparation for that. Looking back now, you can compare that preparation to preparation for the Commonwealth or the Olympics as a young lad. Looking back now, do you think there was a lot of pressure on you personally going into the Commonwealth and the Olympics?
Yeah, there was pressure on myself because I always put pressure on myself to perform, and I probably put too much pressure on myself right the way through, even up until not. Probably only stopped doing it recently where the expectation had dropped. But when I was putting the expectations on myself, it stopped as you could. So if I could do it again, I'd do it differently. Just from a mental standpoint, it's one of them. And if we knew then what we know now, we'd all be much better off, wouldn't we? But it's all part of the journey, I suppose. But yeah, the pressure was on myself to become an Olympian because I didn't get to Athens, so I was like, right, I'll get to Beijing, and I got there in the end. The Commonwealths again, and the gold medal would have been. I wouldn't have been happy with less than a gold medal at the Commonwealths because it's not the most difficult of tournaments for boxing. You haven't got your real powerhouse countries there. It's definitely, achievable for a lot of people to win a gold, but it's still a good achievement, and it gives you a good platform to push on towards the Olympics. Boosted my confidence as well winning that gold medal at Commonwealths because it gave me like the confidence to push on and become an Olympian.
Yeah. Well, why is it, Pricey, that like British boxers haven't fared so well in the World Championships? Is that down to a bit of politics? Because I think it was only Frankie Gavin, was it, who was the first one to sort of win it? And if we see British boxers sort of medal at the Olympics, and we've seen them at the Commonwealths and things like that, but the World Championships just seems to elude British boxers. What is it? What's behind that? Like,
it's just so difficult. Honest to God, it really is. That's what makes Frankie Gavin's achievement so special. But see, in the world, there's a higher volume of people there. There's a higher volume of people in your weight there, so you're gonna have to fight more times to win the gold medal. And even though the quality, it's quantity as well as quality, because the best are there, but you might get an easy draw for your first two fights, but they're still having to make the weight an extra 2 times or whatever else, especially the lads who make the weight. And that's one of the things with amateur boxing. They're having to keep the weight down for up to 10 days, where in professional boxing, you weigh in the day before and that's it. You can refuel and then you have your fight and it's gone. So I think that could be one of the issues. And it's just a hard tournament to win. And the London Olympics, we had great success, and a lot of that was down to the home support, without a doubt. And amateur boxing it does favour the home team. Wherever you go, look, the judges, anything else, they're getting looked after, nice meals, not getting paid off or nothing, but wherever, it's just how it is, isn't it? It's just how it is. It's a natural tendency. If you're the host, you're going to look after your people who have come to do the job. And human nature, from their perspective, may be to just lean towards the people who've been dead nice to them for the last 10 days. You know what I mean? Things like that can come into play. And amateur boxing's been littered with that, and famous ones, hasn't it? Like the Roy Jones in the Olympic final, things like that. Floyd Mayweather. There's a hell of a lot.
Do you know your boxing career? You turned pro in 2008, and those first 3 or 4 years, it was like an uprising. Us as boxing fans were being told, like, there's this big scouser knocking people out, like, go and see him. I went to Aintree Racecourse just to go and watch you fight, you know what I mean? Because it was such an uprising. Looking back now, is that a special time for you, those first few years as a pro?
Yeah, it is, yeah. And I know there's different ways of it to look at it for me, because I can look back and say, well, I was being touted to go on and do this and that, and that didn't happen. And I can look back and think as a disappointment, but I could have not had the start I had and just plodded through and got a few points wins and still ended up not doing what was being, but I wouldn't have had the hype. Yeah. So having the hype was actually, it was good. I wouldn't change it, because it creates interest. People get to know you. People want to see you fight, and it created a lot of momentum for me at the time. And although people, because I do see people on social media, laughing at the fact that at one point people thought that I'd beat Tyson Fury, no problem, And people now are looking back and that and thinking, oh, look how stupid he looks and things like that. But look, that's just how it was at the time. No one's got a crystal ball. You can only go off what you believe at that time. And I was flying, but it was at a certain level. And although I do at times think and believe I could have gone on to do more, I also believe that it's important to accept your limitations as an athlete or even as a person sometimes. And that might sound negative, but sometimes you have got to go, look, that's my level. There's no point me beating myself up about it and saying I could have done this, that and the other. You know, it is what it is, and here I am, and I've you know, I do look back at that time and I do miss it, to be honest, because it was exciting. It was like the world was my oyster and anything was possible. But I think deep down in my own mind, I always felt that it wasn't all as it seemed. I kind of like, you know, these people are getting a bit too excited here, and you know, they're asking a lot of me. They were asking a lot of me, and I'm probably looking too far forward into the future and thinking that, you know, fighting Klitschko, this, that, and the other, because it was all getting mentioned. But like I said, some fighters go through their entire career. They can even win a world title, but they can't walk. They can walk down the street and no one will notice them.
Yeah.
Do you get me? And I don't get that. Everyone recognises me. Obviously, I can't hide, but.
Do you know what it was, Pricey, as boxing fans? It was like a special attraction. That's what you were like. It was like David Price. You were like the attraction. Go and watch what he's doing.
Yeah. See, that again is like, hearing you say that is like, that makes me look back and feel a little bit like, oh, I wish I could go back to that. You know, because once that aura that you've got is taken away, or you lose it by losing a fight or whatever, it's very difficult to get back. And you know, I've spent that's what I'm saying, I've spent a few years trying to get it back and telling myself, you know, I'm better than this, I can do this, and then at one point I just went, right, and well, no, but I can still compete and I can still be active, and you know, it's my job to be a fighter. Just because you're not the best, there's a common like fallacy within sports and sports fans that if I'm guilty of that, being he's shite. You know what I mean? Oh, he's shite him. He's shite. And that's where I've gone, well, you know, I'm not the best, but still decent enough to operate at a good level. And there's always room for someone like me in boxing. Someone to my size, like you're saying, special attraction. There's not many like me. Punch power, can be knocked out myself. Always involved in exciting fights, and while I'm still young and well enough, healthy enough, and fit enough to do it, I'll just carry on doing it.
Your name still carries so much weight. You've been on undercards, and the story is who's Pricey fighting. Is Pricey going to knock this fella out? You're on undercards. Your name's still worth so much weight in the boxing world.
Yeah. I think it is, and that's why I'm saying. That's why, even though I won't be topping a bill anytime soon, that attraction's still there. And it only takes one or two wins, and I know that myself, because I beat Tom Little, I beat Kash Ali, and I beat Dave Allen. And with all due respect, I don't think any of them are capable of winning a British title.
No.
And I beat them today, and then I got my biggest fight in my career against Derek Chisora, albeit, you know, a short notice job. But that to me is proof. The proof is in the pudding that a few wins against average level opposition, and you're right back in there. So it's encouraging, but you know, we don't know what's gonna happen with shows and fans being allowed. I think things are going to change a little bit, and opportunities might dry up a little bit. I hope not, but we'll see.
You mentioned there before social media and Tyson Fury. We can't not ask you about that, because back in like 2012-13, he's had a bit of beef back and forth on Twitter, and it was like the whole of Liverpool started tweeting Tyson Fury, basically saying, Pricey's going to knock you out. And it seemed to us as boxing fans like that fight was going to happen. Was there ever a moment in time where the plan was Price v Fury?
Yeah, there was. It was being spoken about from the minute I turned pro. He turned pro just before me. He turned pro just after the Olympics, and I turned pro in the February or the January, and straight away we were talking of it because we fought as amateurs and things like that, and it was always think, well, wait till one of us has got a British title, and then he won the British and Commonwealth titles, and I became mandatory when I knocked John McDermott out in the Olympia, and I had a feeling he weren't going to take the fight, and what happened, it went to purse bids, and he withdrew and vacated his belt, so people were all over him then, calling him a shithouse, and he ducked the fight and this, that, and it drove him mad, and he went missing for a bit. I think he banged a load of weight on, and then he went missing for a bit and come back with Peter Fury. Come back with Peter Fury training him then, and it was being spoken about again, and I was going through opponents like a hot knife through butter, all the Harrisons, Sam Sexton, all them, and we never actually discussed or negotiated the fight, but it was coming close, and then I lost. As simple as that, I lost to Tony Thompson, and the fight weren't gone, but it was going to become difficult to make then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just before you go on to the Tony Thompson one, it felt, I think, me speaking from a boxing fan watching it, it did feel like it was a bit of a cat and mouse, sort of chase. Like Fury was sort of always there, like, and it felt like he was running away, like Millsy said. Boxing fans were calling him out and stuff, and you had this back and forth. Do you think that knocked you a little bit, or maybe forced you to put your foot on the gas a little bit more than you wanted to try and get that fight with Fury?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was at that. I think at that time, I was I definitely know for a fact at that time I was more popular than him.
Yeah.
People liked me. People didn't like him at all at that time because he was a prick at the time.
Yeah,
and
I was one of them.
Yeah, he's grown up and he's matured now, and people really like him, and rightly so. But at that time, he wasn't very nice person, and people were against him. So I felt like I was kind of in the driving seat at that time. I had the British and Commonwealth title. He'd avoided me and everything else. So it was kind of he was stepping up his level opponent, so a little bit more. Well, only one fight. He fought Kevin Johnson, the American, and he'd only lost to Klitschko at this point, I think, Kevin Johnson. So it was a good fight, and he beat him on points over 12 rounds. But Kevin Johnson threw 5 punches the whole fight, and that was exactly the type of fight I needed at that time, because I was just getting in and blasting people out, and I started believing in my own hype and thought only had to hit someone on the chin, and it was curtains for them. And as well, I say believing in my own hype, probably just the confidence was growing massively, and the Tony Thompson fight obviously put a stop to it. But what happened, in my mind, I think Frank Maloney made the wrong decision in picking Tony Thompson as an opponent, and he may well have been looking at Mick Hennessy getting Tyson Fury, Kevin Johnsons and people like that. Tony Thompson was an awkward southpaw, 6'6". His last fight was against Vladimir Klitschko. Yeah, and it weren't the right fight to take. So I should have just, I think me and my trainer didn't like the fight, but we went, we'll take it, because we were getting him for cheap, which meant I'd earn more money with the deal I had, and I thought, I'll beat this fella. And really, apart from, getting caught on the back of the ear where I got caught, and I only had to stay on my feet that night, because I don't think Tony Thompson was in any shape to fight. He hit the jackpot. And that was a fucking hard thing to deal with. My first loss as a professional, it was so fucking so much kicking the balls, big time, especially after the wave I was riding, and it all come crashing down. And since then it hasn't quite got to where it was before.
It felt like he was horrible as well, leading to the rematch. He was saying all these things like, you've got to come to America now and stuff, and he was putting obstacles back in the way, when ideally you just wanted to go and see you, knock him straight back out and put it behind you. I felt like he was putting things in place and stopping it.
Yeah, well, what happened there with the rematch, and this is my ego probably got in the way at this point, because the other person who was getting talked of the three people at that time probably getting spoke about most as the next wave of heavyweights was myself, Fury, and Wilder. Now, once I'd lost to Tony Thompson, we had a rematch clause, but the word was that Deontay Wilder was going to get him for his next fight. Now, my ego was like, Deontay Wilder's going to knock this fella out, and it's going to make my loss look worse again. And I was like, get him back. I need to fight him. I need to put the wrong right straight away. And that's why I went straight in for it. But you're talking about putting obstacles in the way. They had other options then, and we're like, oh, well, no, we want to have it over here, and we might fight Wilder, and we were desperate to get him back, which was the wrong decision ultimately.
Well, away from your career, this period was quite transitional for going back to footy Liverpool. I think FSG, the old Yanks were in there. Kenny came back, Brendan came in, and it's a bit of a mess. But two things I do want to ask you about is over this period where Liverpool lost Jamie Carragher and Steven Gerrard. Jamie Carragher retired, and then Steven Gerrard went to America for 18 months before retiring. Can you remember what you felt like as a fan watching two legends of Liverpool like that leave the club?
Yeah, it was sad, wasn't it? It was sad. Because you'd watch them grow from boys to men, really. Mm-hmm. And that's why them two players are like unique in their own ways, obviously, but they've been a one club man, more or less. Obviously, Gerrard went to America, but they were there from schoolboys right the way through, and they were just massive parts of the club. So yeah, it was just sad, especially Gerrard. Gerrard, he could have got in any Liverpool team. Probably our best ever player. You could argue, depends on what generation you're from. Best player I've seen in a Liverpool shirt. So when he retired, it was, it's just sad. It's a sad feeling. But life has to go on, doesn't it? Life has to go on for all of us, and no less him. So he achieved a lot. Wish he could have won the league, and it does do me head in. The people are still all over the slip thing.
Yeah,
you can't get away from it. It does my fucking head in, and I still can't watch it, because although we're about to win the league in these circumstances, whatever else, I'll never forget how bad that felt that season. When how bad was it?
Yeah,
Terry, when that was fucking horrible. I mean, look, you're never Tony, and obviously, aren't you? So you know what it's like to feel disappointment.
I'm not brave enough to tell you what I felt when it happens.
Yeah, you know what it's like to feel. Yeah, exactly. That use the opposite end of the scale, but when you've come so close to glory like that, and it's just killer.
I think it was the manner of that season as well, wasn't it? Like the way we were just tonking teams, the groove was there, wasn't it? Like, remember the Arsenal game, we just absolutely bladdered them in the first 20 minutes, and that was just like...
We were on fire, weren't they? But that was the other thing we did. I don't think people said we bottled it that year, but we didn't, because I think we won 10 on the spin. We were brilliant in the running, and then they had that bit of bad luck. There was no bottling it. I just think... we nearly done it, nearly men again, but it's just I'm still a little bit. I'm made up the footy starting again. I'm frustrated that we're not going to be there to see it and feel it. You wanted to fucking taste it, didn't you? And the noise and everything that comes with going the match, the smell of it. You know what I mean? That's we're not going to see that. Although take what you can at this time, innit?
Klopp came out, didn't he, last weekend? He said, look, if it happens, we'll celebrate eventually. Even if it's like in 13 games into next season, our fans deserve us to celebrate with them, and we will. So I think he said as well, I don't care what people think about that. I don't care what we'll look like. Liverpool Football Club, and we're going to celebrate it. So I think eventually there might be something, but I know what you mean, that final whistle in the grounds. And
live, because it was getting to a point, though, where... we were flying that much this season. It was getting to a point where it was like, am I bad for saying this? It was getting a bit fucking boring. Where it was like, I hope the other team scores first to make this a bit interesting. It was especially towards, like, you're playing West Ham at home, games like that, and it was starting to feel a little bit like this is getting a bit too easy now. The last time I can remember really being the biggest raw type of thing was the Man United at home when Salah scored. I think that was the moment when we knew. Do you know what I mean? And I think for me it peaked then. I was like, it's done this now. It peaked, and after that it was just a matter of just plodding on. And West Ham away was another one, but I think their ground's a bit of a weird one. The atmosphere, it just seems like a friendly, doesn't it? So, but yeah, if he's going to put a celebration on, we'll be there, won't we?
Yeah, I think, you know, I'm the same as you. You know what? I've seen Liverpool win everything except this league. You know, we've won it in my lifetime, but not when I can remember it or can appreciate it. So I think, you know, I got my season ticket and we've been waiting and waiting for this to come round, and we waited so long, and then to have it just snatched away by this thing that we can't even see. It's just like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I had to stop. I had to stop thinking about footy for a while. Obviously, the more important things were going on than footy. But then when I was thinking about it, I was like, I can't fucking believe this, you know. I can't believe it. But anyway, he played today, didn't he? He won 6-0 today.
6-0 against Blackburn,
Yeah, so whatever, just take what we can in it. And then hopefully the players will go, do you know what, we've got to win it again now because, you know, we're in them circumstances. People will always say, oh, there's an asterisk next to it, like the wartime league games, league titles, things like that. But yeah, just I'll be celebrating, mate, anyway, that's for sure.
Yeah. Do you know, before this happened, if this COVID-19 and we're now looking at playing in empty stadiums, where were you standing on where you wanted to win it? Because people were saying you can win it at Goodison, and how good would it be to win it at Goodison? Because a lot of our fans were singing, you lost the league at Goodison Park, you know, last season.
Yeah.
Would you prefer that or Anfield?
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? I think Anfield for me. I think Goodison would have been great to rub it in Everton's faces, but it isn't about Everton. So for me, you know, all them people, them 50,000 Liverpool fans who've been going that match for the last 30 years and not seeing us win the league, I'd rather have. That's what I'm saying about the noise. That feeling when it's actually done. That I think I'd have preferred it, and it was likely going to be Crystal Palace at home, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think that was the one. For me, I would much rather all the Liverpool fans, all that energy in Anfield together to be able to enjoy it, rather than the few thousand in the low Bullens who could hardly see a fucking thing anyway because the posts and the odd ones around the ground who paid an Evertonian for the season ticket for that game. I think at Anfield, yeah,
absolutely.
We always get questions. We do a weekly podcast and we get questions in from listeners sometimes. And when we ask for questions, Liverpool fans always want Terry and the other two Reds to answer, who was the better player, Fernando Torres or Luis Suarez? For you, who was the better striker?
When Torres first came, he was fucking brilliant, wasn't he? He was unbelievable, him. But I think we've seen his best days at Liverpool without a doubt, and I think when we sold him, it was the perfect time to sell him. Suarez is, to me, he's like a bit of a mercenary. Suarez, he's an out-and-out winner for himself. He'll play for the team, but I say that because of, you know, the fact that he's gone to Barcelona, and I don't think he'd have any kind of sentimentality towards Liverpool or Ajax, any of his previous clubs. I think he's just about what's happening here and now, and he wants to fucking win no matter what. But what a player. You know, unbelievable. I remember him trying to fucking head the ball in on the floor, or, you know, stick his head in front of the ball to get it out of someone's way, and just his competitive nature was unbelievable, and some of the goals he scored, his work rate. I'd say Suarez.
Yeah, I always say Suarez. I mean, Torres, I think for a period, he was the best striker in world football, wasn't he? He was absolutely unplayable. And him and Gerrard, that partnership was just unbelievable, wasn't it? Telepathic, but I agree. Suarez, and I think you're right, you know, the way he had that attitude and that competitor that he had, and it was almost like it enhanced the team but was he a team player? As you say, it was more. It was just he just wanted to win that much. He'd take the team along with him, sort of thing.
Exactly. That's how I feel. That's how I felt about him.
Yeah.
But what a player.
Yeah, unreal.
Another talking point on the weekly pod that the Reds always have is this season's obviously gone so well. You couldn't really ask for it to go much better. However, at the time Klopp was playing, the kids in the FA Cup and a lot of Liverpool fans were emailing us in saying, if you played the first team, we'd win it. Where were you on that? I know obviously you beat Everton in the third round, which was, be a fantastic day for you. But do you think did you want Klopp to play the first 11 at Chelsea and at at Shrewsbury and go and try and win that cup?
Yeah, I did, but I'm not one to start questioning anything that man does, because he's got everything right so far. I can't. But I was thinking it is good to keep the winning mentality going, keep the momentum going, and try and win everything. Why not? I did want us to try and win everything, but once we were out of the cup, it was like, well, it's gone now. There's only one thing we had really after this season more than anything, and that was the league. But then I thought we had a great chance of defending the European Cup this season, and it's the forgotten game now, isn't it? The Atletico Madrid game at home, but that was a knife. It was a knife in the heart. That I was gutted after that. But I had a feeling going the match that it'd be the last game of the season, because it was just starting to come out what was happening on it. But no, I would have enjoyed. I would have loved to have gone for the lot. But like I said, I tried my best not to question anything Klopp decides.
You still get to go to the games this season. Obviously, you're in the cup or in the posh bit with the prawn sandwiches, or
no, I'm not in the posh bit. But I'm at the upper centenary. The Kenny Dalglish stand, it's called now, and so I have to sit upstairs where the seats are at a steeper angle, because my knees can't fit. I wouldn't fit in the cop. I won't go in the cop for that reason.
I'm in the lower centenary, and the seats are on my shin. So
So when it was like 16 through to 20 or whatever, I had a season ticket in the lower centenary, but it was in the cop. So it was like a little block in the corner, block 109. It's classed as the cop, but it's on the centenary, and I was happy to just put up with the pain then, just to be at the match. But I got to a point where I was like, I'm not fucking sitting like that again, because my legs were crippled. So I have to sit upstairs, and next to me little lad, who probably won't be not so little much longer. So I'll have to try and sort something out.
So another question we can't not ask you is, when you were on the Bellew Maccabi card at Goodison Park, was there ever a chance that You Never Walk Alone was being played as you walked to the ring? Or
No, I mentioned it to him and he just said no. He said I don't know whether he said someone at Everton weren't going to have it. I can't remember, but I just thought, okay, whatever. And the You Never Walk Alone thing for me with walking to the ring, it was time for me to let that go personally. It was great at Anfield, at the Echo and at Aintree. The atmosphere, brilliant. When everyone was there to watch me. But it's a funny song for me, You'll Never Walk Alone, because it gets me emotional. If you put it on now in the house, I'd probably well up a little bit for some reason. You hear at countless funerals, things like that, don't you? And it reminds you of certain people and times and things like that. So walking to the ring with that on, probably, it did a little bit. But I'll never forget that night in the Echo Arena when I fought Aldi Harrison and I walked into that, and it was fucking incredible. And no one ever take that away from me. But that Goodison one, it was I got told it. It was a no, so I just said whatever. It's time to move on now.
What did you go into? Can't remember what you came into.
I know what I went into, the Water Boys, All of the Moon, right? But
good tune.
The reason it did, I've said this before. The reason it did, when I was a kid, my mum got me a video off one of the stalls in town, and it was like one of them Liverpool compilation videos that some fella had put together himself, right? So I used to watch it though, and it was great. It had some great clips on it, great goals and great music, and it had that song on at the end, and it's done a montage at the end of Liverpool over the years to that song. And honest to God, if you've seen it now, you'd go, wow, that's brilliant. So I thought, that's the next best thing to going into. You'll never walk alone. I'll go into that. And it's a good song as it is.
Yeah.
And you'd ever see a similar night at Anfield? There's rumours that, Callum Smith might headline a card at Anfield. Can you personally see that happening once the world gets back to normal?
Yeah, I can. But the best time to do it would have been round about now. They were talking end of May, weren't they? So that would have been the ideal time to do it. But you can't rule it out. It just depends what direction Callum Smith takes, because I think he's the man who's who it's going to revolve around. So it's whether Callum goes and fights Canelo, in America, or another top American or whatever else, or we can get someone over here. It all depends on that, because other than Callum, I don't think there's anyone at the moment who holds a world title, especially his ones. But obviously there's a lot of talent in the city you can maybe put it together. But Eddie Hearn's a very shrewd businessman, and he'd only do it if it made business sense and there'd be enough people coming along to watch it. And to do that, you've got to have marquee names fighting. Because look, Tony Bellew, he's Mr. Everton, and he fought at Goodison Park for a world title. And I don't know how many people there, it might have been 20,000 people. So I don't think Callum Smith has got the same affiliation to Liverpool as Tony Bellew did to Everton. So will it open? Will Liverpool fans buy into it or not? I don't know. That's why it's going to be interesting to see if Eddie Hearn thinks it's viable.
Yeah. Well, just before we do let you go, because we appreciate your time. We can't not ask you of one of your recent fights against Kash Ali. And I remember watching it, and there's a picture of you, actually. I think you've stumbled over, and he's biting you, and you're literally like to the ref, what the hell's going on? Like, he's biting me. If you can rewind back in your mind to that fight, what were you thinking when this was happening?
When it was happening, it was like, me initial reaction was to shout at the ref, he's fucking biting me. And the ref dragged him off, and it was like, I don't know what, I can't even remember. It was just
he kept doing it. He kept doing it.
Yeah, he'd done it a couple of times, and he was. I got in the ring, and he was charged up to death. He must have had too much pre-workout or something, but I'd got into his head big time at the press conference, and he'd had a lot of disrespectful things to say before the press conference for someone who's done absolutely fuck all. And my daughter had been in hospital all week, the week before, with appendicitis, and they took her in to operate and couldn't because it was too infected and connected to her intestine. So she was in hospital for a while, and I was back and forth to all day, all week, and everything else, and I was fucking drained. So when I went to press conference, I'd caught wind of a couple of headlines of him saying a couple of things, and I just give it to him, and it took him out of his comfort zone. And then the frustrating thing about that fight though was when he done that, he was ready to go, and he robbed me of the knockout win, and I come out of that fight felt like I'd lost. So it fucking annoyed me. Although I did forgive him for what he done, because of he messaged me on the Monday, an apologetic message, and I thought, what, he probably feels like the world's against him. And I just said, look, I accept your apology, and that's that. But yeah, it was bizarre. Never. I had been bit in a boxing ring before, though, many years earlier against a Turkish fella in Croatia. Bit me on my chest, and it's obviously a sign that you're doing something right if they want to bite you, because I was battering that fella as well.
I'll say that. What are you wearing? Like John Paul Gaultier or something to the ring?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, when you say in there, like in the build up to that fight, and there was like a little bit of nastiness coming from him, and obviously I think we talked about it before with the Fury situation. Was with the genuine sort of enmity there between you, and is there? I guess we see it as fans when we're watching boxing, and you see all the build up, and then afterwards it's all hugs and high fives and sort of thing, and it's like how much of it is genuine, and how much of it is sort of part of the promotion,
yeah, I think your natural feeling before the fight will be of genuine, not hatred or a little bit of dislike towards the opponent, because we're going to get in the ring and try and knock it out, and the winner will go on to better things. So you're both fighting for something. So you can't help but not, but it depends really. But after the fight, when all's said and done, I think both people are fucking relieved the fight's over anyway. Because the worst thing is waiting for a fight to come. And then once it's done, as long as you've given 100% and left everything in the ring, you can shake your opponent's hand and say congratulations. But there can be other times. It depends how you want to play it. I mean, I was fighting Dave Allen.
Yeah, that was the other one, wasn't it?
The Dave Allen one where he took the approach of being respectful to me. So I played along, I'll play the game of being respectful myself. I'll treat you how you treat me. But in my mind and in my soul, I had a feeling of resentment towards Dave Allen, which I didn't show, because I wanted to be the nice guy and, create the sense of security type of thing. But he's had a lot to say about me in the past, and I remembered that. I remembered it well, and I was like, I was just keeping it in there. So, and then when the fight was won, that's why I was so happy to win that fight, because it was kind of personal to me. But sometimes you can give the opponent's energy by letting them know, and creating a bit of anger in their camp or whatever. So it depends really. You've got to keep a poker face, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, you're always there to fighters. I mean, I remember Tony Bellew after he beat David Hay, and he was like, he's at the top of where he's ever been, basically. And he was saying, "I haven't got long left. I'm getting out of here soon." Tyson Fury said something similar in one of his recent press conferences. He went, "Again, I'm getting out of here soon." Where are we with you, Placey? Are you planning on a few more years, or do you know how long in your own mind you've got left without even maybe saying it to us?
Yeah, I've got an idea. I always said I'd retire. Even up to more recently, I said I'd retire in my 38th year. So I'm 37. So I could have 37 next month. I could have 2 more years, but it depends on the level of boxing and opportunities coming my way. Got to be the right fights. I don't want to be getting involved. I don't want to be. I say this now, but give me a couple of wins, and then my confidence is back up, because I am coming off a loss, and that naturally takes your momentum away and things like that. So a couple of wins, I might be saying, look, let me fight a good opponent or whatever, or a top opponent, and get in a big fight. But for now, it's about easing back in maybe a little bit and going from there. But where Tony Bellew said he hasn't got long left, he meant it and retired. But a lot of fighters get to the end of a training camp and do the fight, and they think, I can't be fucking doing this for much longer. Yeah. And then your body recovers, and then you're ready to go again. That's just how it is. But initially, when you've come out of a hard fight or the long training camp, you will be like, oh, can't wait to retire. But then you start feeling good again, and you're like, oh, I want to go again. And it's about deciding when's the right time to actually go, no, it's time now. And I'm not far off from that. I'm not far off from that at all, but I'll just see what comes my way.
And finally, I mean, we are a football podcast. It's been brilliant to speak to you. Even as an Evertonian, I'm a massive fan of you, and I can sit here and talk footy and boxing with you. But Jurgen Klopp signed a new deal. He looks to be around for at least another 4 or 5 years. You're excited for Liverpool's immediate future?
When was that, today?
No, a couple of months back.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he signed a new deal. Yeah, so he's I think it's 4 years he's got on his deal now, opposed to the 2 he had.
Brilliant. Yeah, I thought he'd go, to be honest. I was starting to talk. I don't know whether I missed that, but we were talking amongst ourselves. Who would we get if he does go in 2 years? Because he's kind of like a man of principles, Jurgen Klopp, where if he said something, he's got something in his head, he's going to stick to it no matter what. But that's great news because he is, like, to me, the second coming of Bill Shankly for Liverpool. What he's doing and what he's done, it's unbelievable. His man management of players, he'd run through a brick wall for him because he just gets them. He gets each player individually. He's got a great team around him, his backroom staff. Yeah, it's great. Well, I'm a bit late to the party, like, but that's great news.
So the next few years, you just seeing good times ahead as a Liverpool fan?
Yeah, but it's not going to be as easy as it has been this season, is it? Do you know what I mean? But any other season, last season, we'd have won the league. How we didn't win the league with how many points did we get? 96 points or something?
97, wasn't it? Because they got 99.
7 points and didn't win the league. Yeah. But we're on course to do it again. That isn't a coincidence. He's setting something really special up there. So yeah, great times ahead, I think, for Liverpool.
Okay, it's been an absolute pleasure, Pricey, to speak to you tonight. We're not going to keep
I've enjoyed that. Thanks.
Too much longer, but I'm a massive fan, like I said, Terry's as well. To speak to one of the most exciting fighters the city's ever produced. Thank you very much, Pricey, for coming on across.
Thanks a lot, lads. Yeah, see you soon. Ta, lads.
Cheers.
Ta.